Hello, it's February 2024. Mandela effect? Well, that's better.
So I'm not trying to convince anyone that these things are real. I don't have any agenda with that. I couldn't care less, really. And this video also shows that there's more to me than just, for example, whistleblowing, exposing the thing. Now, this video, I'll be discussing something that's completely off topic to what I've been talking about for the past decade, that being tyranny, injustice, and everything else. Although it is part of our reality, and perhaps on the bigger picture of things could contribute to injustice and tyranny overall, but I'm not going to be discussing that. Now, I mentioned in recent videos, for example, how I began doing videos talking about all sorts of different topics, which included the woo-woo, or using a more common descriptives, supernatural, spiritual, cryptids, whatever you want to call them. And when I began doing videos over a decade ago, I talked about all sorts of things, including these topics. And because of all the talk in mainstream news and all these accounts coming from all around the world with UFOs and Bigfoots and Dogman and everything else, I thought I would do a video revisiting this particular topic. Again, if you're not interested in this, skip this video. Now, some of the videos I did over a decade ago, I remember sitting down and just sharing a lifetime, literally a lifetime of stories of different experiences and events. And it's really hard for me to think, well, where do I begin? Now, people who've known me for much of my life, all my life, for a long time, they've said, well, perhaps my 3 death experiences and my near-death experiences, which are different things, and these type of events contribute to why I've had such, as a descriptive, buffet table of experiences throughout my life. But I'm going to be focusing this video on something that maybe perhaps is more common for people to relate to. And this is a very, very difficult video for me to make because most people are very dismissive of these types of things. They ridicule, and for some people, for some strange reason, when people share these stories, they think that it challenges their credibility. But anyway, and there's different reasons for all that, and personally I don't really care. But we see today in this world a rise with not just 1 or 2 people, but whole towns seeing UFOs and what is commonly known as aliens. We see a rise on, for example, Bigfoot sightings and Dogman sightings, which are classified cryptids, and all sorts of other strange things. But again, I'm going to be focusing on the topic of cryptids and Bigfoot. And I could make a whole series on just sharing different events throughout my life and showing what evidence I have. Now, there is a video that I do have. I guess you can say it was more of the supernatural, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, just pick your descriptive, where I share audio recordings of what some have said are angelics speaking. And that whole event there that I've shared actually ties into the topic of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, because that whole evening out in the wilderness alone was strange, and how it all began. And perhaps this is where I will start sharing my stories with this one. Kind of give the backstory to that particular video. I'm going to run through this very quick. That particular evening, I'd arrived late at night to camp, and I had gone out and made something to eat, finished up, cleaned up, got back into my vehicle here, and I was just kind of settling down for the night. I was sleeping in the driver's seat, and initially there was nothing that really stood out, but as I laid back, I heard talking. I couldn't understand what was being said, but I heard talking, and it was coming from the rear passenger side, which would be that direction. There was no sound of engines, no lights, no flashlights, nothing. And I was far enough in the wilderness with my vehicle that you're not hiking in, and chances of a regular vehicle driving in without any modifications would have been in question. But regardless, there was no indication of people. But my first thought wasn't, well, this is a Bigfoot Sasquatch. My thought was, like, there's somebody out here messing with me. And there was at least two of them. And that would have been, if I recall correctly, say around 11:30 at night. And I sat up and I was trying to figure out, and I hit all my roof lights, lit up everything around me, didn't see anything. And then I had my camcorder and other recording devices, some of them hidden, and eventually went to sleep. It was during that time that recording of what some call the angelic, they were talking, but I've done a video about that. Feel free to check that out. But it was in the morning. I think it was about 5 a.m. I was woken to thudding, as the best I can describe it. And this thudding, I could feel inside of me. Now, I don't know how many of you have maybe taken, for example, a nap in the afternoon, and say your neighbor has a lawnmower going, and in your dreams, your thoughts, whatever, you're incorporating that sound of the lawnmower into your dream. And then you wake up and it's like, oh, you hear the lawnmower and everything makes sense. So as I was waking up, the thudding was kind of in the dream part, but as I woke up, I sat up. It felt like it was just penetrating through me. And I had left on my dash a small cup of tea. There was maybe a quarter tea left. It was just sitting on the dash from the night before, and it was vibrating, like the top of it was moving with this thudding. It was like penetrating right through me. And I remember sitting here thinking, what's going on? And something inside of me was saying, leave. Now, that might sound crazy, but whatever. I thought, I'm just going to, call me stupid or whatever, I'm just going to sit here and see what happens. Well, I had turned on all the lights, rolled down the window, and just sat there. And that whole sensation of dread, wouldn't call it fear, but just dread, was just kind of increasing to the point where I thought, okay, I got to get out of here. And so then I left. And it's at the time anyway, the trail was a bit of an obstacle to get through. So I'm not going fast, but I'm going as fast as I can, which maybe 12 kilometers an hour, 15. And it's a bit of a run to get to the main trunk road. And I'm just cruising along. There's no one else out there. And eventually I get to the T intersection that goes to the main trunk road. A trunk road being an old logging road. As I'm coming up to it, my roof lights and my high beams see something. They're lighting something up that's kind of in the middle of the trail that I'm coming out onto the trunk road. And it was fairly large because I obviously can see it from a bit of a distance. Then I'm thinking, is that a small animal? What is that? So anyway, long story short, I pull up and I look down, and it was the largest, biggest pile of scat that I've ever seen. And I'm going to describe this, so if you get kind of wheezy, just skip over about 5-10 seconds. But it was almost like there was, I'm trying to think how to describe this without sounding too gross, like the log parts mixed in with the runny parts, like the diarrhea. And it was still steaming. And when I say it was huge, it was probably, if you were to have cut a small beach ball in half, just above the half mark, say, and set it there, that's the size of it. Never seen anything like that. And I showed people, I took a few pictures, and very short video clips of it. Can't find them anymore, but I did show it to some other people, and they're like, they couldn't identify what that came from, but it was still steaming. Because at that time of morning, it's still very cold out there. And this would have been in October, end of October actually. And I'm still trying to figure out if somebody was messing with me the night before or whatever. And it wasn't until I started driving along, and it's quite the distance, like just to say, to get to a highway was like 40 kilometers. And I started thinking, wait a second. And I started to put two and two together, and then was this whole thing that started the night before, about say 11:30, is that like a Bigfoot thing? And I'll never forget that whole evening, especially with that audio recording with what, as some describe, the angelics. And that kind of began my experiences with this particular, as a descriptive, cryptid. And I have a whole pile of stories from living out in the mountains, as I have been for a long time. Now, a lot, I've mentioned, for example, I've had a lifetime of woo experiences. That's the term that I'm using to encompass these type of things. And sometimes it's at night, sometimes it's in the day, sometimes I can be asleep, I can be awake, but more importantly, sometimes I'm with other people who witness these things with me. And sometimes I even have residuals, like some evidence. These things can range anything from photos or some video clips. But I could say, with all the experiences that I've had just on this topic of these cryptids, that these things are real. And a lot of times I see when other people post a picture or a video of something they've encountered, and there's a lot of fake stuff out there, guaranteed. But people complain, well, why didn't you take a picture sooner, or take a photo sooner, or or sorry, a video, or, you know, you have to remember when things happen like that, you're not really expecting it, or you're not expecting it. And then by the time if you're looking at something, an event, and you're trying to comprehend, trying to process what's happening, it's already like, say, halfway to the end before it's like, I should document this. And then sometimes you don't even, last thing on your mind is grabbing your camera or your phone and recording it, because it's just like, wow. Until you are in that situation, you don't understand. And then, you hear people saying, and I guess you could say my photos and videos that, say, for example, I'm going to share here, really show nothing. You do the best you can. If you have something that's not good enough, people will complain it's not good enough. There are people who show things that are really crisp, clear, and they're, oh, that's fake because it's too good. No matter what you present, it's never going to be good enough for many people. Well, that's fine. That's on them. And it's so easy for people to be armchair quarterbacks and try to dissect something when they've never even stepped out of their home. They've never spent time, for example, in the bush, the wilderness, the outback. Mostly they haven't experienced anything like that. So what I'm going to be showing, I'm going to be showing a video clip of an event that took place. Don't expect to say, oh, there's, at the time and under the circumstances, I did the best I could. And really I was hoping, that if anything did happen to me, that there'd be a video, and then with proper software and technology, you'd be able to extract something, which I don't have. I do have editing software and some sort of like Photoshop thing. Just, it's very basic, very simple stuff. But perhaps somebody with better equipment can extract something from where the camera was pointing. And I've never shared this video ever. So that's going to be a first. I'm going to be showing, as you've been watching beside me here, some clips and some photos or whatever I have decided to put beside me to say, yeah, here's bits and pieces of evidence. But this video that I've put together, because I was, I would film for a little while and then turn it off and then film some more. That was a crazy night. And at one point you'll hear, as I'm giving the commentary, and I was giving the commentary because I didn't know how well the camera would pick anything up. The whole situation was weird, and I just wanted to give the commentary as it was unfolding. And again, I'm going to stress, don't expect to say, yeah, I see these things, or, no. But I'm willing to share it. And that's what I'm doing in this video. So sit back, and for what it's worth, have a look.
Something woke me up. I didn't know what it was. And then definitely something was thrown on the back of the FJ, hit the roof. Did you hear that? Someone or something's throwing rocks, hitting the roof. I'm not exactly sure what to make of this. The camera's pointing to the rear. Okay, it's like I heard talking, but I can't understand them. Okay, that was a grunt. 3:22. I got here maybe around 1. Okay, so I don't know what I'm looking at over there. There's definitely eyes. In that field, looks like there's 3. One, 2. They go up and down. They go low to the ground. And it's like they stand up. Why? Damn camera zoomed in is beyond me. There's one directly to my 9 o'clock position. The eyes are kind of reddish. The other 3 went. Well, I don't know where the hell they went. They went towards the 1 o'clock position. I feel nauseous. I don't know if it's just stress or what. Whatever was being thrown on the roof, it was definitely like pebbles or stones. And it was hitting the rear, and it almost sounded as if it was coming from the rear direction. Just the way the pebbles would hit and then roll forward, like to one side or the other. Okay, so maybe within the minute I heard whistling from this direction out the driver's side, my 9 o'clock position. Just want to do one final note. As I was leaving that area, my thoughts were I saw a deer, but deer don't stand up that tall. But about maybe half a mile down the road, tons and tons of deer. And I was just wondering, it's a long shot, but if someone was throwing rocks at my vehicle because the deer were in the area, I guess, I don't know. I'm just guessing, I have no idea what went on over there. Bizarre. From my original camp, I think I'm about maybe not, say 40K.
So I'm not trying to convince anyone that these things are real. I don't have any agenda with that. I couldn't care less, really. I know my experiences on this particular specific topic, these things are real. And I don't care if there's backlash or ridicule or anything else. It is what it is. And this video also shows that there's more to me than just, for example, whistleblowing and exposing the things that I have been over the years and trying to give more insight into civilization and everything else. There's a whole other side of me that exists. And over the years, I've shared some videos of moments where, for example, dealing with post-traumatic stress as I was dealing with the courts and everything else of the event of May 4th, 2013 and everything that was going on back then, to show that there's a human side. So this video is really showing another side of my life. And as I've said, I've had a lifetime of strange events, and this is just one example. There's examples of, I'm going to use it as a descriptive, other cryptids, UFOs, the whole buffet table. And again, over a decade ago, going into forums online and stuff, I try to share and explain things to help others understand more information, first-hand information. And I'm just going to conclude here that watching other people's videos or listening to other people's stories, say online, I never had an interest in, because I know what I know, and I don't know, it's just never really interested in it. But what we're seeing today is these types of things increasing, a lot of strangeness happening in the world, and I'm just trying to think of how to wordcraft what I want to say next. Just we're hearing more and more about this, and with the internet and social media and everything else, it's a lot easier for people to share, hey, look at this, is what, has happened. We have that village in Peru, it was like 1,200 people seeing beings and everything else, and they were being attacked and they were shooting and all this other stuff. This type of thing is going to be becoming more and more common as this civilization wraps up. And if you find that disturbing, well, that's on you. Anyway, if nothing else, maybe you just found this video entertaining, whatever. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.